Okay.
Welcome everybody to So Fun Virtual today. I am here with my wonderful crew of ladies.
Hi everybody.
We are here live for September. We have a lot of fun products that they are going to be showing you today. If you are new to this program, we actually have 30 live classes that we do here all around the Seattle area, here at Quality Sewing and Vacuum. There is food, there's fun, there's prizes, and the best part is being able to bring in your show and tell. But we're glad that you are here with us today, wherever you may be. So leave a comment down below. Tell us where you're from. If you have any questions, please post that on there, and these gals will be able to answer those for you today. All the products that they are showing will be available on our website until next Thursday, October 3rd. So I'm going to pass this over to Sandie, Charlotte,
Hi,
and Toni.
Hi. And we're going to exit.
We're going to
leave Charlotte all alone here. Okay, welcome everybody. We're so happy to be here, and we have so many things that are so much fun to show you in this September virtual. So fun. Are you okay? Okay, so we're going to talk about our quilt book, about the quilts that are up here on the wall. The first one is a batik waffle that was done by Donna, and she's not here today, but if you take a look at it, it has 2.5-inch squares that go all across here and one strip that goes here. That is your basic quilt. That's a block right here, and she just did she had her walking foot on, and she just did straight stitches across this 2.5-inch square, and then did 3 lines across here, and then the sashing down. It gives you the illusion that it's woven, but it's not. It's a very, very simple quilt to make. And this is my quilt of valor. This is in the first part of the book, and it was very simple, and it was wish making. And I have a 92-year-old neighbor who is a Korean vet, and he moved up to close to where we live, which is very cold, and he's cold all the time. So I made him a quilt of valor for him, and I'll give it to him tomorrow. And it was a fun quilt to make. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the label that I put on the back here, and how I did that without, you guys know I do not like to hand sew, so there's no hand sewing on this. This sticks on there very good with the product that we brought in. And then the third product the third item that we made from this book was this table runner. And this table runner is made just from the leftover of a Nancy Halverson's fat quarter. And so it was easy to do. They're just half square triangles all through this. And this has 2.5-inch squares around it. I do not make individual 2.5-inch squares. I make a whole strip, and then I cut them into 2.5-inch wide. So I have a long strip of all these fabrics together without having to individually make them. I also, so that you guys that don't like to sew your binding down, Sandie's going to do a little bit more talk about the steam seam that we brought in, but I did steam seam this, and I will eventually sew it down, but it's not really good to be washed. You know, it needs to be sewn down because it stays better that way. But I know a lot of you don't want to. This is a quick and dirty thing that you could do, and you know, table runners, you're not going to wash that much, or something that hangs on the wall. It's a great tool. And one of the things about steam seam that I learned is that you can overpress it, so don't overpress it. You lose the glue. And that's what we brought. This book has 13 quick and easy projects. It says one-day quilts. I would say that they're one-day quilts just for the top, because you're going to have to quilt it, you're going to have to put the backing on, and they're quick and easy, and they're fabulous. They're like I say, there's 13 of them in here. Great way to use up your scraps if you have jelly rolls. Everybody has jelly rolls, so that's a great book. The product that I want to talk to you about is this Press and Bond Ultra by Floriani. This has 10 yards in it. It's 10 inches by 10 yards. So this is going to last you for a really, really, really long time. And the coolest thing about this is that I was able to make this label and glue it on the back with this product, and I did not sew any part of that. I'm sorry I left my label up here. I did. And one of the cool things about this product is that I was able to make this flower. Can you get that, Chris? Oh, okay. Okay, so this flower is made exactly the way that I made the labels, and I'm going to show you how I did that in a few minutes. Now, if you notice the back, if you can see it, it's really, really shiny. When you use this product, you're going to use the inside roll. When your roll is like this, and your curve of your Ultra Bond is going like this, that's the first side that you're going to use, and you're going to press that on. I press this on power mesh. That's all that I fused. I mean, all that I hooped. I put a piece of power mesh in my hoop, and I just embroidered this really dense rose right into that power mesh. I took it off. Now, you don't need a fusible for this because you're going to fuse the back. This takes 10 to 15 seconds to adhere this piece of Press and Bond Ultra on that. Wait until it gets perfectly cold. Do not move it. I don't mean lightly cool. I don't like slightly cool. It needs to be cold. And when it's cold, you are going to be able to take the back paper off, and you're going to be able to pull this off. And this is how my label was made. So I have this real nice shiny piece here. Now, before I do anything else, I need to cut around the power mesh that I have here and the Ultra Bond. And how I'm going to do that is we have this very cool heat craft tool. And it's kind of like a soldering iron. It has four tips in it and one flat one. So you're able to use that in many different ways. I have a couple, and I'll keep one tip on one and one on another one, depending on how I want to use it. Now, you can also take this heat tool with one of the points that are like this, just straight, and all the freestanding Christmas, what am I thinking of? Oh, gingerbread houses that OASD has, and they have the little buttons on them, and they have the little holes. You can put that into the hole, and then you can stick that button in it, and it opens that hole up enough, and it kind of seals that thread all the way around it. And so it's a tool that you can use many ways. It comes with this cute little holder for it. I highly recommend that you don't use that because it can roll off. It is extremely hot. It will burn anything that it falls against, so you don't want to do that. So my thing is I have a tile, and I'm not advertising coffee, but I have a coffee mug here that's tall and it won't fall over. So this keeps it safe. It's hot. And now I'm able to take my label here, and I am going to set it down onto my tile. I need something very flat and kind of easy to move around that little tool. And I'm going to take my tool, now it's nice and hot, and I use the curved tip, the one that has the curved tip on it. And all I'm going to do is run my iron right along here, and right along here. And don't worry about, you're moving it fast enough that you're not going to burn the threads. It kind of seals them anyway, and you're not going to have any trouble with your thread around there. You want it nice and real close to that satin stitch that you did. So now all I'm going to do is pull this out, and there I have this perfect label that now I can go and put on any item that I have. And my husband's really, he's insistent that I put my name on my quilts or whatever I make, because he said someday I'm not going to be here, and then they're going to know who made it. And so this is my easy way, no hand sewing, and I know that there are those of you that love to hand sew, and it's not me. So that's our Ultra Bond. But also what's so cool about it is I could take this rose and say I want to put it on a Levi jacket, I want to put it on my jeans down or my pocket, on my hip pocket. I don't have to take that pocket off to get it on there and sew it and do the embroidery. It's there, so I can put it anywhere. And you want to be able to put it, you can put your garment on and you know exactly where you need to put that instead of guessing where that flower should go. And it is also good to be able to be put on pleather. This is pleather from Sandie Toni, and Sandie's going to talk to you a little bit about that. So I made this cute little bag, and this has a lot of stitches in it, a lot. and I was able to get that all the way around with that heat tool, real clear. And then I pressed it down with our little small iron and left it there 10-15 seconds. And then what I did is I put a press cloth over the top of it, and I did it again, and it's perfect. So you could put it on pleather. Just think of the many, many uses that you could do with this, and remember that there's 10 yards in it, so there's a lot of yardage in that. I'm going to unplug this right now and be safe. Okay, so we're going to talk about our towels over here. There's some, you guys know about my towels. It's on our Facebook, page, and under videos where you will find the total instructions that I did, a tutorial on how I do my towels, from washing them to doing all the fancy stuff that I do with them and putting the cuff on. I also use my steam-a-seam along here, and these are appliques, so you can see that they go very well. This is an applique here, and it works really good with preparing your towel. Sandie did these two towels here, and she took our designs from our Kimberbell and she enlarged them, and she made a patch on here. So here's the, she used the Ultra Bond behind this cute little cupcake here. And when you're learning how to use the tool, sometimes you might not move it fast enough, and so something that happens sometimes, she said she burned her little frosting here by keeping the tool there a little bit longer than what she should. But normally if you have something really nice to go around with that tool, it takes it off real easy. Now there's small writing on here, and I'm going to put, so here's my apron that I did small. Oh, you want that? Okay. So here is my small writing. Okay. When I do small writing, I don't always have to go to a thread that is 80 to 100 weight, which is thinner than our normal thread. I use normal embroidery thread on this, but I turn off my automatic jump stitch. And the reason I turn off my automatic jump stitch is because it's going to make a knot here, many knots, and then it's going to go make a knot here, and then you end up with all these knots, and your autumn harvest here does not lay flat, and you want it nice and flat. And don't worry, you know, when we first did our embroideries, we never had automatic jump stitch cutters, so these are not going to come off. They're not going to come apart. But you don't want to use them, and my machine, I have to go in and I tell it where that I don't want that automatic jump stitch on, and then when I turn off my machine, it's going to go back to the default. There's not going to be a problem with that.
We have a question. They're asking, have you tested the fusible product surviving being machine washed? She says, I fused quilt labels on and have to sew them down after machine washing and drying.
Is she using this product? That's the, you know, I have used other products, and she's right about this. This is I need to look. This is washable, and it's dry cleanable, and that's what the instructions say. And anything that I've used by Floriani has come out exactly the way that they say it's going to. But I did not wash this yet. I mean the blanket yet. So I don't know what to say about that. But I haven't. But I trust that it will. And on my towels here and on my apron, one of the things that I use on this is Stitch and Wash Fusible by Floriani. This is a 2-part stabilizer. One part, which is this white part, it stays, I mean, it washes away, and what's behind the stitches, there's another part to this stabilizer. It stays behind these stitches as long as this towel is alive. So when I did all of these embroideries, even on that, I used my magnetic hoop. I did not hoop anything, but on these particular ones, I use this Stitch and Wash Fusible, and I can pull off. Even though it's fusible, it comes off really easy around the stitches. You could take that off, but you put it in the wash, and everything. Where's our other towel? Where's our other apron? Okay, we have an apron, and I want to show you the back side of the apron because it was washed. And what is behind, thank you, Toni, what is behind this this thankful and it was washed, you can see that none of that white stabilizer is there. But what is behind all of these stitches, the second part of the stabilizer, it stays in this apron for as long as you're going to wash the apron. It's a really, really cool tool. And I use it on decorative stitches. I use it behind buttonholes because you want stabilization in your buttonholes. So this is a Floriani Stitch and Wash Fusible. You definitely want this fusible because that keeps your fabric and your stitches all nice and flat there. Okay. We brought in this, I am organic. These are 3 colors of threads that are they're Pima cotton. They're 100% organic. They're 30, am I right? Yeah, they're 30 weight, and that's a little heavier than we normally use, but it makes a beautiful stitch out. These are the colors of it. It comes in a wooden spool. You don't find that anymore. And what we did here, what Sandie did here, is that she used the thread when she did her decorative stitching around this table, this placemat. And you can see how heavy it is and how nice it came out. That's a good picture of it. Okay, good. And she also used, down here in the corner of each one, she used one of our designs from our Kimberbell. So isn't that a darling placemat? And speaking of the placemats, I didn't have my color soon enough, so I did my stitching on my table runner with another color. But one of the things that I did with my runner this time that I have not done before is I went ahead and I took it to my long arm and I quilted it before I ever put on my appliques. And I did forget to do something. The pattern calls for you to cut it off here, and Toni did cut her corner off. I didn't, and I didn't realize it until I was finished. Both of us used a blanket stitch around our pumpkins and our designs. Toni has a Sashiko machine, so her quilting is done with her Sashiko machine, where you saw that Sandie did hers with decorative stitching. And let's see, what else did we do here on these? The pattern. That may be good. We have a pattern that goes with that. What was interesting is the way that that Sandie did her. This came off. Okay. Yeah, no, this fell off. Sorry, there's the picture, girls. Okay, so this is the table runner here, and the cool thing about it, you can take scraps to make that center, you can do scraps to make your pumpkins, and what Toni did here, she saw Halloween, so all of her fabric on this particular one is done in Halloween, so her pumpkins, everything. Mine is all just done in harvest colors, and it's easy, nice table runner, fun to do. Toni did all of her Sashiko stitching around here and around her design in the center. So that is by Connie Spurlock and Terry Chandler. And easy pattern, good way to use up some of your scraps. You just have enough scraps to make a placemat? Cool. Okay. So on this thread that we have here, we're bringing Craftex in, and Toni's going to tell you a little bit more about Craftex, but I took these threads and I decided to use my Craftex and these are going to go into a frame. Oh good. These are going to go into a frame, a 5x7 frame when I get home. And the reason it wasn't in a frame now is because we travel with them and sometimes frames get broken. And one of the things that I did put on the back of this is I used Heat and Stay Fusible by Floriani. It's on the back. This is a heavy stitch out on this Craftex. It is absolutely fantastic. There's no tearing on the Craftex. This is just some pumpkins that have a pretty good heavy stitch out here, but this one was extremely heavy and I wanted to see how well that this would hold up. So the Happy Thanksgiving here is really heavy stitching and there's not one tear in this because this is the same kind of stuff, the Levi jeans that we wear that have the size on the back that you don't want to show everybody. That's what is made. That's how they make the label on Levi's. And so anyway, I wanted you to see the colors of the thread and also how well our Craftex held up to that. The marking pins that we brought in for, oops, excuse me. Oh, we got one thing over here. we have a marking pen and an eraser. We love Quilter Select. And you know, the reason, you know, this is Alex Anderson, and she is, am I good? Okay. She is a quilter, so she has made things for quilting. And this pen, she has made an eraser that allows this marking to be erased. There's only about half full of the, excuse me, of the eraser in here. This is a full eraser, so you'll need one because you're going to erase a whole lot more than you're going to. I need a drink of water. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, excuse me. So you're always going to erase a whole lot more than you're going to write out. Now, one of the things about this eraser, it is actually made for this pen. Sandie was the one that really tested it out. And some of our marking pens it does not take out. So make sure that, you know, you can try it, but she did a lot of trying, but most of the time this is going to be very successful because of the eraser. I have a long arm, and when I quilt with my long arm, I have to mark places, and I want a fine point. This has a nice fine point, and I know because she has the eraser there that that's always going to be removed. And you never, whenever marking anything, you always want to test the fabric and make sure it's going to go out. I almost ruined a quilt. I almost ruined a quilt by not, you know, something didn't come out. So here is a little sample of kind of how this, now all the markings over here were made by the Quilter Select. But, you know, and on the Identipen that I'm going to talk about in a minute, all it did is leave a little grease spot. So everything else you could see it didn't take it out really good. But that's why you always want to test things. And we're going to talk this Identipen. This is permanent. You need to understand that this is permanent. So you're not going to put it on something that you want to wash out. Now it says it's not washable. However, it stayed in when I washed it. I can sign placemats. I can sign things with it. It has 2 points. One is a 0.4, and the other is a 1.0 end on it. Now, also because it is permanent, this is an isocord. We carry isocord in our store here, and our numbers, color numbers, on their top here, and it's very, very small. You might need a magnifying glass. So I will take, before I take the sleeve off of here that covers the thread, I will turn it over, and with the thin side of this Identipen, I will mark the number under here, just in case that one of these little stickers come off, just to keep it safe. So, you know, some of the threads there are darker color here and you can't do it. You have to do it with a different one. But that's our Identipen. And then we brought in, because of the garments that we have, we brought in twin needles. Twin needles are fun. The size here is, we've got a 1.6, a 2.0, and a 3.0. And that's the width between the two needles. Now with a twin needle, you have, you know, if you don't have 2 spools of thread, you can wind a bobbin, and you put that on your auxiliary spindle and run that through the 2 needles. And the back side of a twin needle is a zigzag. And if that zigzag is too tight, your stitches are going to tunnel. And so you may have to use a stabilizer that I showed before so that doesn't tunnel. When my children were younger, and it was early 70s, they didn't have a home serger. You know, we sell sergers that have a cover hem on them today, but I didn't have one. So I could do all their cover hem stitches with a twin needle, but you have to make sure that zigzag on the bottom isn't too tight. Sandie made this sample using the double needle, the twin needle. Now your machine is smarter than we are, and it will tell you if you cannot use a twin needle in it. You know, and so if the machine says no, then don't use it. I've done many things with a twin needle. Your stitches are going to go, your center of your foot is going to go right down here. And so sometimes you may need to to keep that straight, you may need to take that marking pen and mark where that is to keep that right in line. But this is the threads that we brought in, and you can see how beautiful they are, and all of this, you know, this is the double stitching here and a twin stitching here. But see how beautiful they are, and then here they are on black. And I think I'm done with what I need to tell you. And I think, is Toni?
No.
Oh, Sandie.
I'm here. Thank you. Oh boy. Welcome everybody. I am so happy to be here. First thing I'm going to talk about is this light and shadow pattern from the Cutting Line Designs. It comes in 5 sizes, extra small to extra large. And let me tell you, the extra large is extra large. I'm going to stand right here and show you. Toni made this vest. It's 4 pieces. How easy is that? A huge cowl, a split front, which leaves you with one tip hanging down for accent, and then just the back. This is the exact pattern size. So for me, that back would hit me right here at the top of my waist. I really don't like my hiney showing. So I took the pattern, and it has a line for lengthening or shortening. I cut it on that line. I took my glue stick, I took some of that Pellon with the grid on and put it in there, so I added 5 inches to make mine long enough that it comes down to my hip. I like it much better. It's very cozy. Instead of facing the sleeves, I just used fold over elastic. Worked really slick. I have a nice cozy, it's a lightweight fleece vest. But the pattern actually said to use a few like linen or something woven. We both thought Amanda's bundles when we first saw the pattern, and Toni made this shirt. Now it doesn't drape really well like she intended the pattern to drape, but it is so cozy. And if you have a daughter or a granddaughter or even yourself, if you're tall and slender enough to tuck the hem into your jeans and wear this, you would be styling. Andrea loves that one. Then there's the shirts. There's 2 shirts, 2 different styles of hem. It's the same shirt pattern, but one is just a straight hem. The other is a double hem. See, there's 2 pieces to it. Like that. That helps to bring the pattern down and give you drape. Toni made hers out of a rayon, a woven rayon. It's very drapey, very cool. And I made mine out of a linen blend, which is also got nice drape. It does wrinkle. If you see any wrinkles, I'm sorry. I tried to get them out. Very comfortable. I did use the fancy organic thread and top stitched. I put in a 90 needle and I lengthened my stitch. Now I should have used the twin needle, but instead I sewed around everything twice because the twin needles hadn't come in yet. So there's my stitching. I don't know if you can see that, but very comfy top. I love that pattern. She also gives you just a load of hints and tips. So if you're new to garment making, this is the pattern for you because there's all sorts of boxes for hints and tips. There's no zippers, no buttons, no snaps, no buttonholes. It's really a good pattern. One of the things she says to use is Steam-A-Seam 2 Light. And she uses this, she'll put it on the shoulders of the neck facing. And she puts it on the front of the neckline, like to hold the facing down. She puts it around the sleeves to hold the facing in and around the hem. So you're not pinning, you're not clipping, you have everything out of your way, you have your hems pressed in place, and you just go to your sewing machine and sew. Another tool that we brought in that I really love is this hot hammer. So when you're making your hem, you fold it up to whatever length it says and press. So my bottom hem was a 2-inch hem. I just folded my fabric up, gave it a nice press. You get a nice hem edge, and then stick your Steam-A-Seam 2 under there, give it another little press, and you're ready to go to the sewing machine and finish this top. It finishes in no time flat. We did see one online. We were just looking around to see how everyone else made them, and one lady took the front of the vest and the cowl and added it to the shirt so that she had a long sleeve sweater. And I thought, you know, what an amazing idea. I'm going to try that yet. I just ran out of time. Then the next pattern we brought in was this bag pattern. It is the Daisy Hobo bag. It's from Paradiso Designs. Paradiso Designs is Cheryl Cusack, and she's out of Seattle, which is really cool. She brings in all these wonderful pleathers. The red croc bag that Charlotte made, the silver bag that Toni made, and I think this would look really cool with one of Charlotte's embroidered designs ironed on it. Just use a press cloth because you do not want to touch this with your iron. And they're very pliable and very soft. And then also we brought in the Sally Tomato Pebble Tan, which is also very pliable and very soft. I didn't get my pleather, and then I went on a trip. So what I did was I pieced denim scraps, and then I used the twin needle and quilted it. And then when I got home, I took a pocket off my husband's jeans and embroidered on it. I just put a tearaway behind my embroidery because the denim is stiff, and sewed it on there. So I have a bag with a pocket. Really slick. And Donna, bless her heart, made us a bag too. And she used her batik strips. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And she used strips to make a double handle. But when you close it, it reminds me of those Japanese rice bags. Closes really nice, just a nice bag. The bottom of it is a square, so you are pivoting at the four corners when you're sewing. So Cheryl sent for us to sell these little daisy bottom. It's a hard interfacing. So if you get one and get it with your pattern, you don't have to go out and buy yards of interfacing or a quarter yard or anything. You can just sew your interfacing right in when you're doing everything else. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to make these strap handles. I'll go around to the sewing machine. We also brought in a blue pleather, and I set these on my chair and kind of forgot about them. And I made, these are the pattern. I used the pattern, I did the flat bottom, but I cut them off at 7 inches so I could have buckets. So I have this bucket that I folded the cuff down, and I have this bucket that I put a little embroidery on the front on the faux leather. Toni made a little zipper bag with the silver faux leather she had left, and she did an embroidery on it. If you're going to embroider on faux leather right straight to the leather, you want to choose an open design. And then what she did was, once it was finished, she had the machine sew it a second time. So it really stands out and looks, you know, real pretty. You can see it well. I also made a little sunglasses case and a little change purse. And I used the heat tool to melt the ends of my zipper so that I did not have to put tabs on this little bitty change purse. Worked great. So let's put these back here. Or when you're making a 1/2-inch handle, she tells you, she gives you good directions. She also has a blog, Paradiso Designs blog spot, and she does this pattern on her blog in 6 steps. So if you want to just follow along, if you're really new to bag making, you've got no zippers, no hardware, no snaps, and you could follow along and do a little bit every day and not be overwhelmed. The first thing you're going to do is take your strap. Is that this way? Okay, see, I drew a line right down the center. I used a mechanical pencil. You can use a mechanical pencil or a pen. Do not use a Sharpie because this has kind of a fabric back and it will bleed through and show on your pleather on the other side. And you're going to take it and you're going to fold one side to your line. Like that. Folded right to my line. Then I'm going to sew. I've increased my stitch to about 3.5, and I've put my needle as far right as it will go. I want my pleather on both of my feed dogs so it feeds straight and doesn't stretch. And on this foff, I want to put it in far enough that the walking foot in the back isn't working against me. I'm going to hold my tails, push the go button. I remember to slow the machine down so it's not taking off on me. And there we go. I sewed the first line. You go do your whole strap this way. See, my first line of stitching right next to the edge. Then you're going to take the other side and you're going to fold it right to that stitching. Not over it, just right to it. Then you're going to go back to your machine. You're going to move your needle to the left to about 2.5. So you've got a 2.0 difference between each row of stitching. Come on. Then once again, it's going to be on both feed dogs. That's very important so that it doesn't stretch. I'm going to put it in far enough that it's not working against me with that walking foot or that IDT system. And sew right along that edge. See, I have 2 rows of stitching sewn and a little mess because I didn't pull up my bottom stitches. So now you want 2 rows of stitching on the other side. You're not going to flip it and sew those 2 rows because that's why your strap twists. You're going to just take your machine and move your needle as far to the left as it will go, which is 4.5 on this machine, minus 4.5.
We have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Would a walking foot be helpful if they don't have IDT?
You could use a walking foot, but I don't. I have an older machine at home. It doesn't have a walking foot. It works fine. If you pull up your 2 threads in the back and kind of help it get started, it should sew just fine. A Teflon foot might help you if it sticks, but otherwise, this pleather is so nice and thin that your needle is just going to go right through it. I do put a 90 needle in. I do have the stitch lengthened, and I should have held my 2 threads as I started there. Do as I say, not as I do. There's my 3rd row of stitching on the other side. Now I'm going to put a 4th row by moving the needle to a minus 2.5. And I'm going to put the 4th row of stitching. Still, my handle is on both of my feed dogs, so nothing is going to get stretched out of place. Nothing's going to kind of round out or go wonky. And there's my 4th row of stitching. I didn't do quite as long, but that helped. I did a lot of practice. I did this strap. I was practicing how long to make my stitch. I know you have to make it longer, but I tried 2.5 and 3.0 and 3.5, and finally I liked 3.5. So if you have a scrap, play with it like that. The other tip I'm going to give you is when you put the bottom in the bags, it's a square. And you have to find your center because you have a seam going right up the center. An easy way to do that, they tell you mark your centers, but just pretend this is my center. I could take a pen, fold it in half, mark my center. On black pleather, chalk would show. On tan pleather, your mechanical pencil would show. But what I really like to do is I don't like to futz like that. I take my scissors. It's a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so if you cut a little divot, you've got it on both sides of your pleather. It's very easy to line it up to that seam allowance, and away you go. And I do that for all 4 sides. I do that a lot when working with pleather. It just, to me, works really slick. And I think that was all I was going to talk about, so I'm going to hand it off to Toni. Exit stage left again.
Hello, everybody. I've got some really cool stuff to talk to you about that we have had in before, but have you used it? Craftex. We all know it comes in colors. It is a paper-based product that you treat like fabric. You wash it, you can dry it in a hot dryer, you can iron it, you treat it like fabric. I like the white because I find it the most versatile. You can dye it, you can paint on it, because you treat it like fabric. What I normally use the white for is I like to make my cards. Okay, hold it up in there. We've all bought the cardstock before, and what they tell you to do is you take your embroidery and you hoop your stabilizer and you float the card on top and you do your stitching. Well, inevitably, the one time you want the stitching to be perfect is going to be the time when the machine decides to go burp, and now you've destroyed a card. Well, that's crazy. Also, I don't want to have to do an embroidery and then turn around and cut another one of my cards in half so that I can take that to put it on the back to hide the threads. I can do it with Craftex. I can hoop my stabilizer, cut a little piece of the Craftex, a little 5x7. I can float it in the hoop or tape it with, I'm going to show you the Kimberbell tape. And then I can go ahead and do my embroidery. So if something happens and it messes up, I haven't wasted a card. I haven't cut a card in half. All I've done is lost a little bit of Craftex. And it's a lot cheaper to use a little bit of this. All you do, your embroidery, and then you just cut it out. And I used a glue stick. You can use the scrapbooking scissors. You can make a nice little decorative border. The one thing with working with Craftex, though, is because it's a paper product, you don't want to be using your good sewing fabric shears cutting it because it will dull it. You will also probably need to change your sewing machine needle a little more often because it's a paper-based product. It may dull the needle a little bit more. At home, I have a little section where all my rotary cutters and stuff are, but I have a little section where I keep, when I'm cutting paper, working with Craftex, so I'm not destroying my really good ones. This is great. And then I have 10 cards. I haven't sacrificed any of them. One thing that's underrated. How many out there have heard of Odicote or used Odicote? Odicote can be your best friend. This is a gel coating. You put one coat on, it is water repellent. 2 coats make a kind of waxy appearance. 3 coats can waterproof. It's designed to go on a fabric. And initially when it came out, they said you take your fabric, wash your fabric, get rid of the sizing, dry your fabric, press your fabric, then you take your fabric, you lay it down, you put some Odicote on, and you take a little cardboard or something and you squeegee it off. You can put the rest excess back in the Odicote, and then you let that fabric dry and cure for about 24 hours. Then you could put a second coat on, do the same thing, a third coat if you wanted, do the same thing. I've never used it like that. What I use Odicote, and this is my Odicote travel kit. I have a little El Cheapo paintbrush that I got from like the dollar store, and I have my Odicote. It lasts a long time. As long as you put the lid on snugly, it's not going to dry out. I paint the bottom of my bags with this. We all have made really nice bags using fabric, and you go to set it down on the floor or you set it on something. Now you've got a dirty bottom or a stained bottom. But I can make a bag and slather a coat of this on, let it cure, and now it's stain resistant. I don't have to worry about something happening to that. Also, how many of you would let your husband put a coffee cup on this? Right? No way. But I can, because I put a layer of Odicote on it. There's one layer on here on my coasters. I put 2 layers. This way, when a cup sets on it, if there's any moisture there, it's easy to get off. It isn't going to soak right through and stain right away. It also helps to protect the furniture underneath. But this way, I get to use all these neat little mug rugs and not worry about tea stains and coffee stains. So this stuff is just absolutely great. It does wash out with soap and water very easily. It is best stuff. Next thing I want to show you is the Kimberbell tape dispensers. These things are heavy. Most of us do not sew with shoes on. I know I don't. And I'm warning you that this thing will hurt if you knock it off on your foot. It is that heavy. But it's heavy to be designed to hold the tape. And what I like about it, because it's heavy, I can get a piece of tape one-handed. I'm not fighting it. We've all tried to get tape before and it tapes funny, or you have to get scissors to finish. I can get a piece of tape with one hand. One of the ladies was going to put her Scotch tape on there because when she's doing gift wrapping, and we've all been there, the tape ends up balled up somewhere on the package that you didn't want it. But you can put it on here, and this helps to hold it. It's very sturdy. I have 2 of them. The Kimberbell tape. This stuff is great. I'm like you. I have used some of the El Cheapo stuff in an emergency, but I've always gone back to the Kimberbell tape. The really cheap stuff will sometimes leave a residue, and when you tape something down, it may not come off very easily. And I'm working with embroidery, trying to peel that off, it can distort. It doesn't happen with the Kimberbell tape, and anyone who's done Kimberbell knows that they like to tape the dickens out of everything. This is also great if you're taping down a zipper and having to sew through it, because I've got right here a little sample that Sandie gave. This is tape. It's just been stitched down. My nails aren't working very well. Oops. She did it on denim. I can't get it off on that. Okay, here we go. That's along the stitching. The cheap tape is not going to tear like that. It will remove your stitches, and then you're in a quandary. But the Kimberbell tape does not do that. It's easy once you get a hold of it.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's easy to come off. So Kimberbell tape is great. Like I said, I've been with you. I've used the cheap stuff. I've had all the bad things happen, but I haven't had it happen with the Kimberbell tape. We are going to talk about the Kimberbell apron. This is a large apron. It's heavy duty. It's long. And what Sandie did is she took one of the Kimberbell designs, put the leaf on it, But because it's so long and she wanted pockets, she's just going to fold it up and stitch it down and make pockets. It's long enough you can do that. If it's too long for you, it's easy to cut it off, but then hang on to this because you may use it in another project. But it's a very sturdy, nice apron. We brought in the Kimberbell mini quilts. I am not a cutesy person, but I love doing the Kimberbell because I would learn new techniques and I work with materials that I might not normally work with. This has all the different designs. Here's all the quilts we've done here. And just because it's on a mini quilt doesn't mean you can't take one of these designs and put it on anything. Oh, when we got the towels, I didn't see a towel. My brain doesn't work that way. I saw an apron. I also thought that a red one with the white polka dots would be great for a tote bag. But I made an apron. This is one of the Kimberbell designs up here. I happen to have some watermelon fabric, so I just put a little pocket on. All it is flipped over, stitched down, and I've got gloss green ribbon. Very easy to do. Here's the design right here. Also, on a lot of your machines, it will allow you to either increase or decrease the design, sometimes 10%, sometimes up to 20%. So what Sandie did, she took the Halloween and she just enlarged it.
Oops, sorry. I was trying to help.
Also with the candy canes.
Let's take the pins out.
Let me show you if this is up against. You can see the difference in the cupcakes. I don't know if you can see them right there, how much bigger it is. And like with the candy canes, all she did was enlarge it. You can put these designs on anything, shirts, towels, whatever you want. Very versatile. But you learn new techniques. And if there's a Kimberbell event near you, I would really recommend go to it because they're wonderful. The other thing that is absolutely great about these is the embellishment kits that you can get that go with it. This kit has all of the embellishments that you need for these 6 quilts. Most of the time, if I'm going to try something, I don't want to have to go out and buy a whole roll of vinyl or a whole roll of something if I don't know how to really use it. I haven't worked with it. I may not like it as well. If I have the embellishment kit, I have in here the vinyl, the pleather, I have mylar, I have the glitter, I have bits and pieces of a lot of materials that I normally might not work with. And they all will go on here. That way you know when you're doing it whether you like it or not. If you like it, then go buy a roll. But you don't have to buy a lot of stuff that you might not use. It's a great product. They're also very generous. So if you're doing a project and you put it down, don't just center it. If you can offset it a little bit, you can conserve embellishment. I have a little box of embellishments at home that I have from all the little Kimberbell kits. You don't need a lot to do. This has got vinyl on it, the little glitter. I mean, you don't need a lot, so it goes a long way, but it's a very good way to learn new techniques as well as try product that you may not have worked with. So think about it. Thank you.
Hey,
And we're back.
We're back.
okay, come close.
We have winners.
Winners.
Yes, the winner of the Jaylee pattern top is Jan Avercamp. Now, Jan, you want to email Andrea at qualitysewing.com so that she knows where to send this. So make sure you email her Andrea at qualitysewing.com. Give her your address and she'll send it right out to you. And our other winner,
Our other winner is Ramona
Calcahoon.
Cahoon. And please, Ramona, get in touch with Andrea at qualitysewing.com. And what you're going to win today is the Tipsy Needle Twisted Tulips quilt pattern. It is absolutely adorable. A good way to use up some of your scraps. Look at that. Now, if you have a store, if you're local here, tell Andrea what store you'll be able to pick this up. But if not, you need to make sure that we know who you are and where to send it if you don't live in our area. So I think at the bottom it's going to tell you Andrea at qualitysewing.com. Maybe not. There it is. There it is. Okay. So that's what you want to do, because we want to make sure that you get this pattern one way or the other. You know, we don't want it sitting here in our store, and we want to congratulate you.
Yes,
and we want to thank you all for
congratulations.
joining us today.
Yes, we had a great time. We hope you did too. Thanks for spending part of your morning with us.
And see you next time.
That's right.